Welcome back. We have Jon Triffo with us. Jon is a naturalist and wildlife photographer and is the release technician for the Peregrine Falcon program here in Regina. Jon, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Jon, exactly what is the Peregrine Falcon program?
For Regina, we were trying to establish a breeding pair of falcons within the city limits. And for the project overall, what we're trying to do is increase the population of the peregrine falcon, which is an endangered species.
Here in Regina, as well as many places.
Well, throughout North America. We're just one small part of a grand project.
We have a bunch of slides we'd like to look at with you, and we'll talk about the program a little bit further. How did the Peregrine Falcon program come about, Jon?
Through the decline of the peregrine falcon as a species, throughout North America, many biologists have become extremely concerned, and various methods and ways were thought of to try to alleviate the problem. Number one is to try to get rid of the use of DDT and other persistent pesticides. And another way was to try to build up the population of the peregrine falcon.
You have sort of got the aid of business, as I can see, to go along with this. Is that correct?
Yeah, we need funding for our projects, and organizations such as Canada Life are very helpful in that respect. And the bottom line is everything has to be funded.
It takes a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, it does take quite a bit.
Now, what about getting into the program? How is it actually run? How does it go about?
The falcons are bred and raised in captivity in Saskatoon at the university in the Department of Veterinary Anatomy. It's run by Dr. Lynn Oliphant and Patty Thompson. And what they do is they have captive breeding pairs, and they get the birds to mate and copulate and produce eggs. And then they will take the eggs that are produced and artificially hatch them. They will raise the birds to an age of about 25 or 30 days, and then that's when the birds will be shipped to their various release sites, such as Regina.
Okay, you get them in, and then what do you do with the bird from there?
What we do is we put them in the hack box on top of the roof of a building like this. Here's a good diagram of the hack box. And we keep them inside this box for about a week, maybe long, a week or 10 days. And the idea is that they will grow their flight feathers, get their flight muscles, and mature in this box. And as they do so, they will look out on the city of Regina and get the idea that this is a home place. This is a place for them to return to.
Just become familiar with it overall?
Yes.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
What you see here is a Merlin falcon. This is a female Merlin, an adult. They're about the size of a robin, roughly.
Oh, yes.
Our peregrines are roughly the size of a crow, maybe larger. And the Merlins nest in Victoria Park in downtown Regina. And as their babies are coming out of the nest, this is a baby Merlin right here, the adults get very defensive, and they will attack the peregrines that we are releasing in the area. And that's what that picture showed, was an adult Merlin attacking a young peregrine falcon on the building ledge. Here's another baby Merlin in Victoria Park.
How long does it take for the falcon to get its wings to basically and become comfortable enough to fly?
Well, from the moment of hatching, it's probably 45 days before we expect them to fly. And the tercels tend to develop quicker than the females. And so we expect them to start flying maybe a day or so before the females, and it varies with individuals.
During this time period when they are getting their wings and becoming strong enough to fly, are you keeping a very close eye on them?
Yes, we are. We watch them very closely. We usually have a surveillance camera, a little video monitor, and we watch even inside the hack box if they could get into trouble. And if they do, we'd like to find out right away so we can resolve the problem. And then once they're out on the roof of the building and trying to learn to fly, that's the most critical stage.
What is the success rate for them at this point? Do you lose many of them, or are most of them surviving?
The success rate for the actual release in the city is very high. we have a less than 10% mortality rate inside Regina. But once they leave Regina, that success rate is dramatically dropped. We see very few falcons returning.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How long then do they stay here? When do they migrate?
Usually late August, mid-September, they'll start leaving. And they'll fly as far as South America, if they can make it. They usually head straight east to the St. Lawrence, the Great Lakes, and then they'll be deflected by the Atlantic Ocean southward, and then they'll continue on.
And they go as far as South America?
Yes, they do.
What is the rate as far, or do you have any idea of how many actually make it through this?
In the first year, probably 80 to 85% of the young peregrines will perish.
And this is a normal ratio?
This is quite normal, even in the wild. For a wild area, we can expect the same sort of ratio.
Okay. Well, John, we're going to break for a commercial, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're back here with Jon Triffo to talk about the Peregrine Falcon program here in Regina. John, something I noticed in the slides that there was pigeons in the same boxes that the peregrines were using. What is the relationship there?
In Regina, the thinking tends to be, as is in most places, the predator will regulate or control a population of a certain prey species. And we certainly get that feeling. That question has been asked to me several times in Regina. In fact, it's actually the opposite. It's the population of the prey that determines how many predators will be in a certain area. We don't expect the peregrine falcons in Regina to regulate or control pigeons in any way other than on the particular building that we release them on will experience 2, maybe 3 months of pigeon-free existence.
So actually the pigeon really is not a common fare of the peregrine falcon.
Not in Regina, it's very rare. Some peregrines become specialists. They can and will take pigeons readily. But in Regina, we find that the pigeon acts as a really good stimulus for the young birds. They sit in their hack box, and if any pigeons fly by, as they certainly do, the young peregrine will stare at them and study them, perhaps even pick up some flight lessons from them. And also, when they're out on the wing, the pigeons will stimulate the young peregrines to chase and attack them. But very rarely a young peregrine will ever get a chance to catch a pigeon because they are so strong and fast and smart.
What is their normal food supply then in a city
like
this?
Wild birds are our normal fare, but they usually do their hunting outside the city. And they'll hunt around potholes, sloughs,
rodents,
that type of thing.
etc.
No, they'll hunt gulls,
Gulls?
shorebirds, some songbirds, anything that is tired or lazy or injured or weak or just not fast enough to elude them, they will catch.
I notice we have, looks like a dead peregrine here.
Yeah, this is CH, died this year by colliding with a window on the Galleria Scotia Bank building. It's the first peregrine in this city to die that way. It's the second peregrine to actually die in Regina throughout the 5 years that we've been releasing them. And we expect a mortality rate. Inside the city, we always dread the act of a peregrine flying and crashing into a window like this. It finally happened, but I should point out that it's the first bird it's 1 bird out of 21 that we've released that's died this way.
It's actually very low. It's not a common problem.
Thankfully, it's very rare.
Yes. Now, your peregrines, do they ever get given to falconers for any reason?
Yes, we trap some of our females, and the idea is to spare the female from the rigors and the hazards of its first migration as an inexperienced hunting bird. What we would do is we would turn these birds over to local falconers, and they will keep the birds for 1 or 2 years, train them, keep them in really good hunting and physical shape, and then they will turn the birds back over to the Falcon Project. And what we will try to do is release them in an area where a tercel is on territory. The problem we're having with the project is our tercels are coming back, but we're not getting any females back. They tend to be, they're a larger bird, and they tend to be more accident prone than the smaller tercel.
Is that just because of their size? Are they not as agile? Or
It's the nature of the species, and the larger the bird, the more clumsy it seems to be, the longer it takes, perhaps, for them to become skilled hunters.
Are all of the peregrines that you have, I'm assuming they're all banded, is that correct?
Yes, we band them. The Canadian Wildlife Service has an aluminum band on one leg, and the project has a red band on the other leg. The red band usually has a series of numbers and letters, or like this year we just had 2 letters, and they're quite easily read if you get close enough with a pair of binoculars or a telescope.
How close then do you keep watch on the birds? Is it just done here, or are you following them across their migration and everything?
I watch them in Regina, and as long as they're being released, as long as they're in the area, I take it it's part of a mission with me to actually watch them very closely. But once they leave Regina, my interest is relegated to who calls in with a number or information that I get or hear from Saskatoon.
Well, John, if somebody's interested in finding out more information about it, or even offering some service, who do they get in touch with?
You could call Ken Holiday at Canada Life, or Lynn Oliphant at the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon.
And you'll always be looking for donations, I'm sure.
Yes.
And as much help as you can get.
Yes.
Well, John, thank you very much. It's been interesting. I hope we can have you back again sometime. We'll be right back after this commercial break.